Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter. Capcom released a brand new gameplay video for the Greatsword. I'm hoping they do this for the other weapons, and I wanted to give you both my observations and my feelings about what we saw. First off, I'm really happy that they showed this beginning sequence in the middle of the afternoon because I really can get the idea that there's a lot of vibrancy in the colors that they're using. Talk about closing distance. This is wild. This has me really excited. Just the ultimate fast pace of everything is just looking really good. I'm not going to go and explain everything that you're seeing in this video because we know most of what we're seeing, but I might be able to point out a few observations that maybe you missed, and at the end of this video I'm going to talk about the real detailed analysis that I did on some of these things. So here they're just showing off all the things that you can do on your Palamute. Of course, online I'm going to be bringing a Palico because you know me, I got to represent the cats, but I think offline I'll have one of each. You do see them picking up a lot of small little buffs. They did mention that if you're really confident, you can just go straight to the monster and fight it, but for those who like to explore or plan out their route to the monster, you know, it could be really nice little tweaks here and there to grab some buffs on your way. So they're saying that they're finding it interesting to see, you know, everyone's different routes to get to the monster because obviously these buffs are going to help out in some regard. So this was done by community manager for Europe for Capcom called Sox. A wonderful guy. I love seeing his avatar and his voiceover was fantastic. But this was really nice to see some just brand new gameplay. They haven't even shared this in the Japanese channels at all, so this shows you how specially they did it for the Western audience. These peaceful areas are fantastic. It gives you an opportunity to get away from the monster, to buff your character, to do other things, interact with some of the wildlife. We've got Kelbies, we've got these awesome endemic lives which we can use sort of like items, and all sorts of other cool stuff. So I'm very interested to see how that dynamic plays into the hunting areas and the peaceful areas. I'm curious if there's any functionality beyond just visual, but if you notice in all the clips from like TGS and from this one, in the evening and in the darker areas, this little like floating, like glowing bug comes out. It almost feels like it's just illuminating the path for you, but I'm interested to see exactly what it's called and what it does. And here we go, we get some gameplay footage against Acnosome, which I thought was fantastic. One of the cool things I did notice in this one is that they don't seem to be showing you on the map anymore if the monster is enraged or not. I suppose because they're not doing Clutch Claw or anything that's probably less, you know, crucial to let everybody know it. And it was kind of nice before because you would have to look for visual clues like flames coming out of the mouth of the monster and stuff like that in order to know whether or not it was enraged. And that I thought was one of the few elements that was really engaging and I think good for world building, just these little visual hints that you had to keep track of. So where you may not have the lush living world of Monster Hunter World and Iceborne, you do have these things that I think put that sort of hunting feeling into the game. So here it is enraged with the flames coming out of its mouth. So that's its tell sign that it is enraged. And again, you don't see that on the map. We are seeing a demo of a bunch of new hunter arts, or what they're calling these silk bind attacks. This is when you use your wire bugs in conjunction with your weapon to do some special attacks. We are seeing quite a few of them. So there's some that use only one wire bug. There's some that use only two. They did state already in previous interviews that there will not be any armor skills in any way that can mess with the cooldown timers of the bugs. They want to make it level so that they can balance the gameplay, the challenge, and everything. So I like that they're committing to whatever they're going to be doing. However, the cooldowns are going to be different depending on the skill and the weapon in question. Some people were a little annoyed that they were whiffing a lot of attacks, but this is generally how they do it. When they demonstrate weapons for Capcom, so just put this in your head and get used to it because you're going to see this all the way until release. Just showing beating up a monster and flinching them is not as interesting because they're trying to show off the monster as much as they're trying to show off the hunter. And it's one of the things that you have to keep in mind. Just a marketing choice that they do. Because no one's mentioning it, I have to say I really like the English font they're using, and I love how they're keeping in mind the smaller portable screen. Both in terms of size, just the vibrancy of those icons, but also that they always have these black sort of slates behind the text so that it pops out against the sort of busy background. So good job for whoever on Capcom is working on the UI. I think this is going to look really good on a portable screen and of course on the big screen as well. This gameplay I mean, come on, it's totally hype. If you're a Greatsword user, knowing that all the key moves from Monster Hunter World and Iceborne are coming back, that's exciting, especially if you didn't play World. Like the true charge slash is fantastic, feels totally natural for the weapon. And now we have all this ability to do like aerial attacks. We've got these, special attack here where you put your weapon away, so it sees you, which is great for the weapon. And for like the next 20 seconds or so, you get increased attack power. So it's like taking the best of the hunting arts from Generations Ultimate, mixed in with some of the cool ideas from World, and then some new ones on top of that. So really great preview, I think, of the weapon and just of the game itself. Just seeing the wire bugs, and again, just how good it looks once you get used to mastering these mechanics. Oh, I'm telling you, March 26th cannot come fast enough. Anyways, that was the video. It was really cool, but I did notice a bunch of stuff, and I did a lot of analyzing and testing, so now I want to show you the results of all of that. First one, Mega Potion values. So this was an interesting one that a lot of people comment on, and I tested. So in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate and older games, when you healed, it would give you 50 health units. Bing! That's what it looks like. In Monster Hunter World and Iceborne, they increased it. You're actually getting 70 health now. However, it's over a gradual period instead of just all at once. In the end, it still took a commitment. If you got hit out of it, you lost your potion, and that got kind of annoying. So they're doing a nice quality of life here. So when you drink a potion in Monster Hunter Rise, what happens is you're getting 25 health immediately, which is like a potion, and then you're doing a gradual heal for the rest of them. So that's 25, and then I think they're using recovery up. I could be wrong. But if you look, the actual timing of the heal is identical to World and Iceborne. Even though because of that plus 25 at the start, it does feel like it was a bit faster. It's not, but that's how it works. Good quality of life. I was really curious, so I did some checking about the health and stamina values that we've been seeing, and by judging on the pixels, and this is a rough estimate, I think what we've been seeing in these demos is 125 max health and 175 for the stamina, with it showing you where they currently are at. So like the hunter has 100 health, it could go up to 125, and the stamina is at 150, it can go up to 175, and it does seem to take into account +3/+3 2 times, and that's for those environmental pluses. So whether you can get above 2 times or actually 3 times, I don't know. I can't count the pixels that well, and it's still a game in development, but that was interesting. As far as cooldown periods for the wire bug, again, this is a game in development, but outside of combat, it seems that there's a 5-second recharge, which is about right. Inside combat, this felt really good to me as well. Any movement technique was double, so it took 10 seconds to cool down. The wirefall technique was 15 seconds. For the greatsword specifically, the power sheath, which was the evasion plus the attack boost, was 15-second timer. And again, in the video, it appeared that that boost lasted for 20 seconds. The greatsword did show off 2 wire silkbind attacks that used 2 wire bugs. First one being Hunting Edge and the other one being the Plunging Thrust. Both of these use both wire bugs, and they both have a 10-second cooldown. However, it's not the same time. You have to wait completely for the first one to recharge, and then the second one will start to recharge as well. So it's 20 seconds overall, but you do get access to one of those bugs after 10 seconds. Some other interesting observations that I saw as I went through this video. Those little colored birds that give you, increased attack, increased defense, increased stamina and health. It seemed for the defense one, it went up at little increments. I'm really interested in how they're doing this because they do have the possibility now of having different values for low rank and high rank. So maybe you get like a +1 for everyone. It's like a maximum of like +6 or +10 defense for low rank. And maybe it doubles, because they're doing it by gauge. So they can easily just change that to +3 or +5 for high rank and balance it off that way. But it does seem like it's going to have multiple tiers. So again, exploration is going to be very helpful. And this I personally get very excited by because this huge emphasis on it's the hunter and all these animals and insects coming together and working is the idea that endemic life is not just for capturing and watching and looking at in your room anymore. They're actually like items, almost like slinger ammo. So the cute snail, which they had in the peaceful area, which is very funnily called the Escurgat or Escuragat, I don't know, but the cure in there. It does seem like it's going to be a recovery item which you can use. So just collecting all this endemic life to use later, I'm sure they're going to have a variety of functions. I think that's super cool. And some other observations I had was the Palamute. If you noticed in the video, they showed it get KO'd. It didn't actually disappear, which I like, because in the older games, the cats would disappear and then they would just come back once they're healed. But having them on the field KO'd and sitting there, at least you know what's going on and you're more aware of the situation. Maybe there's items to help recover them faster, I don't know, but he was KO'd for 25 seconds as he recovered its health. I did go back and I tested it, and in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, Palicos generally would die pretty fast, and they would take about 60 to 90 seconds to recover. Monster Hunter World, the cats are like immortal. Like they never die, and when they do die, all they need to do is chug a potion and they're back at it. So it seems like they're just doing something completely original here, probably a rebalancing of what they did in the previous games. not World and Iceborne, because these things obviously can attack and they're much more powerful, so 25 seconds feels like it's probably going to be about right. Another one was the other idea of endemic life was these peeper sects, which were on the actual field, which you hit with your weapon and it activated it like a mist. This had stamina use down, and I did calculate it from the actual stamina gauge when he evaded, and it does appear to be 25% stamina decrease over a 90-second window. So again, all this idea of this environment, even though it's not as lush as World or Iceborne, but it's filled with all these cool little items and life that you can use to buff yourself throughout the hunt, I thought was really neat. And the final observation I had was this message here talking about placing a great wire bug. Now, we did see from the previous Tokyo Game Show that there's these special types of vegetation that may have a wire bug, but it also seems that you're able to place a wire bug there and have a great wire bug, whether this is a new transport, a shortcut, whether it's permanent or just for the quest, who knows. But it is nice to know that there's going to be plenty of motivation to go into those peaceful areas and interact with them, instead of just bum rushing the monster and kicking its butt. So that covers my analysis of the gameplay trailer. So if that's all you came here for, then I think you're fine now. Now I just want to go in for a few minutes to give you a few thoughts based on some of the feedback I've been seeing from other players online. The first comment is, I think the vast majority of us are very excited by the wire bugs and how integral and new it's going to make the combat and movement feel for this game, but I do see some comments online of some people just absolutely paranoid and worried that this is going to be an easy mode. It's going to be Hunter Arts 2.0. It's going to make it so the hunters can't learn how to play properly. It's not going to punish them properly. They can recover from stuff. And I'll just say that my personal opinion is that added movement options is not going to kill a monster any faster. We don't actually get a good idea of how many of any of these actual movement techniques have invincibility frames, so I think that it's a little premature to be worrying about that. And the fact that a lot of the stuff that they have here, for example, like the Insect Glaive, has that awesome downward attack. You can do that in Iceborne for free. You can just spam it over and over again, and indeed many people do. Here it's a sort of silk bind attack, so it's not that spammable. You actually have to think about it, plan it out, and use it, and then there's going to be a cooldown timer. It might be 30 seconds, it might be 45 seconds before you can use that wire bug to do anything else. So you are committing when you're doing these attacks. So I do think that it's very well balanced, but I will agree that the amount of options at your arsenal are going to increase a ton, and I think that's the whole point of this game, is to be more action oriented, maybe faster paced, a lot more variety in what you can do, which I know the team were striving to do in Monster Hunter Generations. But now, instead of locking people out with styles and Hunter Arts and stuff like that, they're just adding in a core feature that changes everything. So I think it's kind of premature to be worried about it, especially because we haven't had hands-on with the game, and it's just an opinion that I don't necessarily agree with. Keep in mind, after Tokyo Game Show, they did some interviews in Japan where they mentioned that the game is going to be easier in terms of the length of the average hunt, because they want it to be easier to pick up and play. And if a hunts are going to take 30 minutes, then it's not very easy to pick up and play. They did say that they're going to have expeditions and sort of free hunts, so that there's lots of areas in the game where you can invest a long period of time, like if you're sitting on your couch and you want to have a long play session. But the idea of just jumping into a hunt, having a good hunt, and ending it shouldn't take you like incredibly that much time, because it is being designed to be portable friendly from the get-go. So that to me is exciting. It says nothing about the overall difficulty of the game, but I will say that if judging on what they did with Generations and Generations Ultimate, it wouldn't surprise me if the base game is about the same difficulty as Monster Hunter World was, which is saying probably not that hard. I think something like Rise Ultimate, if they ever commit to that, would definitely up the difficulty much more, but I do think that this type of game is more about just coming together with friends and other people and having a really good time. So maybe most of the challenge is going to be in the back end of the game. I'm expecting just a fun game, so just keep your expectations in check so you don't disappoint yourself, and the least that you expect, I think the more you'll just be delighted with whatever we get. Now, if you guys don't follow me on Twitter, they have been making some small announcements here and there. So every Tuesday and Thursday, Japan Standard Time, around 5 p.m., they upload a new clip, just a small gameplay clip showing off some cool stuff. Like they're showing off how you can pet the Palamute, how you can put food on its nose and play games, how you have a secret handshake with the Palico and stuff like that. So they're going to be continuing that every Tuesday and Thursday. And then Friday, what they're doing is they're tweeting out a few images where they're going a little bit more in depth and just explaining some fun things about the system. with some really cute drawings made by the illustrators on the team. So if you want to see those, follow me on Twitter, or there is the official Capcom Monster Hunter Rise Facebook account for Asia, and they are translating these posts and posting it on their Facebook page, so make sure to follow them as well. Google it if you want to find it. Anyways, I am super excited because a video like this was really meaty, and it was focused on only just one weapon, which is a greatsword, so it makes me wishful that they're going to have a video like this for all the weapons. I mean, even if they did one a week for the next like 13 weeks, that's a huge amount of content. And they did say in their Facebook interview that they plan to release a new trailer by the end of the year. So I expect that to be a real big bombshell and just a lot of drip feed until then. Anyways, we're a little less than 5 months out until release, so it's going to be kind of slow for news, but hopefully you guys will look forward to any coverage I might have on this channel. Hope you guys enjoyed my in-depth thoughts about this awesome gameplay clip, my analysis, and my overall thoughts. And until next time, happy hunting.